You know my favorite motto recently? Another day, another gacha. Not the best words to live by, but it's enough to get by. Day by day goes by and I was doing my usual routine of gacha dailies until I saw this game posted by IGN. Game called AFK Journey. The title did intrigue me because this sounds like something related to AFK Arena, so I looked more into it, and as I thought, it seems like it's a sequel to AFK Arena from the same creators. This seems to be a cross-platform available for both PC and mobile, and for this video I did try to play this on PC. Now before I go further into the video, I would like to thank Lilith Games for providing me access to their beta Voyage test, and this video wouldn't be possible without them. With that out of the way, let's get right into the game. One thing that stood out the most to me, and actually what made me want to try out this game, is the very clean canvas art style. Immediately right off the bat, it gave a very Disney-like feel to it that we can feel when we see the art. The game starts with your character of like a well-known mage that is hit by amnesia. You're immediately put into action as the village nearby you is being attacked. The characters around you do recognize you and seem to know you well. It seems like amnesia is an expected occurrence to the main character. Right off the bat, you are presented with what looks like an overworld where you can move your character around. I've played many other gacha games and I noticed that this is a trend that is opening up to more and more gacha games lately. Before, so many games used to only have their campaign or main story progress just through the menu, but lately I'm noticing that developers seem to have been putting more and more effort in putting flavors in the overworld and story of the games. This overworld exploration was actually something I did enjoy as I'm going through the story. There's some fun little bits of exploration and random puzzles or interactables in the overworld. And it's actually worth doing the exploration because some of the rewards are actually currency that you can use for their gacha system. The overworld experience was pretty much a primarily single-player RPG experience where you roam around the map, do some overworld puzzles, find treasure chests, and if you see an enemy, you can approach and fight them. When you fight an enemy, you go into a separate battle screen. And another thing in this is there are some enemies where you can actually do co-op with actual other players. In the co-op, you can recruit 2 other players via their chat system, and once you have assembled the players, each of the players can put in 2 characters of their choice in the battle, and you can actually coordinate with them to overcome the enemy fight. I was actually happy when I saw this co-op system because one of the things that I like in my gacha game is when we can put out our own units and help each other out in the content. Nah bro, I'm kidding. I just want to carry out all these noobs, man. I think it would be interesting if they do expand on this aspect of the game. Speaking of battle, let's talk about the battle system. The battlefield is laid out in a hexagonal grid system, and before the battle starts, you have to put your units in different positions that would work out in your favor. There's different things that could influence the battle. That's not just the positions of the characters though. There's walls that could influence how your melee characters move around the map, or there are other environment interactables that you could manually trigger as a player to help out in the fight. You can time when you want to use each of your character's ultimate abilities, but let's be real here, we're just going to be clicking that autocast button anyways like a normal gacha player we are. There's different types of classes of characters like tank, warrior, mage, marksman, rogue, and support, like in a traditional RPG class system. As usual, there's a gacha system to get more of these characters. I was trying to figure out if there are some sort of pity or guaranteed mechanic, but probably since this is beta, there isn't a more fleshed out note about it. I can see though that there are certain amount of recruits that I had to do before I can get an epic hero, which seems to be the highest rarity that we can pull right now. The regular recruitment banner seems to have early on allowed me to guarantee an epic rarity hero within my first 10 pull, and then after that 20 pulls after that. Then after doing numerous pulls, it seems like the pity resets after you start pulling an epic character up to 60 pulls. I'm not fully sure of the rules on this since this is just in beta. The rules might change also, so I'm not going to be too hung up on the rules on the gacha mechanics. But it does seem like that there are pity mechanics on this game. One thing I can say though, that if you can get the duplicates off, you can upgrade their rarity. Elite is basically the rarity right before an epic. The same goes with an epic character, which is the highest that you can draw. Getting duplicates of them can increase their rarity to legendary. And I'm not actually sure if the rarity is too much of a focus because as I was actually playing more of the game, one of the elite or lower rarity characters like her that I was using was definitely overperforming compared to the other higher rarity characters that I was using. I'm actually interested to see which units would end up doing great over time after the community finds out more about the different characters. One big thing though with the characters that I also want to point out is the progression system. Now, this progression system was definitely oversimplified, and I think a good number of casual players would actually appreciate this. First thing is that they have a resonance system. For some games, this is called synchro or level sync, but basically you just have to level up 5 characters, and the lowest level of that 5 characters will also be the level of all your other characters. So this does allow you to focus on just leveling up 5 characters, and then when you get a new character, they're basically up on par with your other characters. The skill powers are locked behind levels, so there doesn't seem to be a worry about upgrading anything else about the character. On top of that, the equipment system is actually shared amongst your class. So basically, units of the same class seem to share the equipment. This does alleviate any necessity to individually upgrade a unit other than pretty much just simply getting more duplicates of the character. Now, there could be other things that I haven't seen yet, but so far this is what I've seen in terms of character progression. Now, in terms of game mode progression, there's some game modes here that I unlocked just now in the early game that I would like to talk about. They have this Dream Realm mode that seems to be primarily like a boss ranking event where you try to deal the most damage out of a boss, and your damage is ranked compared to everyone else. Then there's ranking rewards based on your placement. It seems to be a pretty straightforward game mode. And then there's also the arena where you, as you would think, try to set your defense formation, and then other players challenge other players' formations. And then you can get arena coins, which you can then actually use to purchase soul sigils of the characters, or in other words, basically kind of like a duplicate that we can use to increase the rarity of the characters in the game. But out of them, there's actually one other game mode that I would like to talk about that I actually enjoyed the most, and that is the Honor Duel. In this game mode, it doesn't matter what you actually initially have. It's sort of like a draft system with some rogue elements. At the beginning of the mode, you are given an option to basically select which character you would like to start with or draft. You're given some currency in the game mode, which then you can use to buy some more characters or duplicates of the characters that you already obtained in this mode, or equipments that has some special effects only in this game mode. You then keep queuing up and fight other opponents in this game mode. Once you're matched with an opponent, you take turns setting up characters in the battlefield, and then just let the battle play out. I'm not sure if the ones that I'm fighting are just bots or actual players as well, since this is just beta. Maybe for first timers, not every opponent I was facing were probably players. But there was a queue time and also like some wait time when we were setting up the teams, so I kind of assumed that this game mode is intended to be a player versus player. Regardless of the opponents, I actually enjoyed this game mode. One big thing this game mode let me do is to actually try out other units and see the combinations of the different characters with one another, even if I didn't have that character. So I actually think this game mode is pretty fun and does actually add some replayability and variety to the game. There's other modes of the game that I haven't touched upon because I am kind of low level and the progression is a little bit far away, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna have enough time to do that in what I have limited time on right now for the beta. But I think so far my experience on the game has been pretty good. They did mention that they plan to bring in more maps, narratives, gameplay mechanics, and other things into the game. Overall, I think the game's art style is pretty great. It has that nice casual progression vibe to it that works pretty well as a side game. I could see myself trying it out when the game officially launches. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.